o'clock. I'm Virginia Wilbur, and I'm going to call the November 10th regular meeting of the Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission to order. Because of COVID-19, I will be delegating authority to Eric there in the chambers to help with people who might be there in person. First item on the agenda is approval of tonight's agenda. Any discussion or revisions? We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And don't forget, commissioners, when you're motioning, if you can remember to slip your name in there. So I have Eric first, and then who second? Okay. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Okay. Motion carried. Next, we'll have approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on October 6th. Any revisions or discussion?
Motion by Schoberg.
Okay.
Second by Dunant.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any objections? Okay. Motion carried. Next, we'll have the financial report for September, please.
This is Schrader with staff. The financial report is through September 30th, so that would be 25% of the year. On the expense side, looking down at the expenses, there's two of them are at 27%, which is ever so slightly over. Some others that are under at 15%, so overall pretty well right in line. And on the revenue side, a few of them are a little low at 13%. Sales is already up at 67%. Overall revenue is shown as up above the 25%, so we're in very good position. Any questions on the financial report?
We have a motion to approve.
Or receive and place on file?
I'm sorry, who jumped in there?
Go ahead.
Motion by Schoberg.
Or, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Okay. That is placed in file then. All right, next we have oral presentations. This is a time for anyone who is either there in the chambers or on the call who wants to speak on a non-agenda item. If there's anyone in the chambers or on the call, please come forward and state your name and then your address. Eric, we'll start with you. Is there anyone there on a non-agenda item?
Does not appear to be.
Okay. Is there anyone on the call who's here to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay. We'll go on to new business then. All right. The time is 4:04 and a hearing is scheduled at this time for a request by Mark Everett Homes LLC to rezone 0.365 acres from R1 1 and to 2 family residence district to R3 RP planned multiple residence district to replace an existing duplex with a 5-unit condominium located at 146 Martin Road on pages 12 through 28 of your packet. At this time, we should receive and place on file a statement of verification signed by Patty McGee stating, I, Patty McGee, do hereby certify that a copy of the attached letter, overview, aerial, and notice map were mailed to each individual on the attached list by regular mail on October 21st, 2020. Can I have a motion to receive and place this notice on file?
So moved. Do not.
Lystico, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. First, we'll have the staff report, and then after staff has completed their report, we'll we'll hear from the applicant, and I believe there's a couple people present. So, take it away, Eric.
Okay, this is Tim Andera
Oh,
with
Tim.
the report. The applicant is requesting to build a 5-unit condominium development located at 146 Martin Road, and the rezone request would not appear to negatively impact the surrounding neighborhood. Zoning ordinance requires there be a total of 2 parking spaces per dwelling, in which a maximum of 50% of those spaces required can be represented by garage space. Each dwelling does show a 2-stall tuck-under garage, but there are no outside areas for parking. There are some concerns with there being no outside parking. It could disrupt the orderly flow of traffic on the property if somebody were parked outside. However, the RP designation does give the flexibility of allowing bulk requirements to be changed or waived, and parking requirements are included in that. It is served by Martin Road from the east and west, which is a local street, and then West 4th Street is 600 feet to the east, and Amesboro is 1,100 feet to the west, and both of those are minor arterial streets. Martin Road is about 25 feet in width with a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, and there's no parking on either side in the 100 block, which this property is located within, and that was adopted by an ordinance in May of 1983. There is no public sidewalk or recreational trails located adjacent or within the nearby vicinity. And redevelopment could trigger installment of a sidewalk. However, the Complete Streets Advisory Committee did review this request and did not recommend requiring sidewalk due to there being some considerable grade issues along the north side of Martin Road. And also the Leisure Services Commission expressed concerns with the sidewalk along the golf course in the area. And if there was any future sidewalk, it was determined that it should be constructed along the south side of Martin Road away from the golf course. Property is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and has been zoned such as since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in February 1969. To the north, south, east, and west, all that land is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residential, with it being surrounded by the golf course on the west and north sides of the property, and a single-family home to the east, and then our single-family homes or lower-density development to the south of Martin Road. There is an 8-inch sanitary sewer located within the right-of-way of Martin Road to serve the development of the new site, or of the site. They are wishing to rezone the property to R3 RP, Planned Residence District, to develop the 5-unit condominium. A site plan and four plans and elevations have been submitted, and they also are requesting approval of this site plan with the rezone. The RP district requires an area not less than 2 acres to develop a tract of land, but this property is 0.365 acres, which is 1.635 acres below the minimum required. The property is surrounded by the golf course on 2 sides and a single-family house to the east, which does restrict the ability to have a 2-acre tract. The benefit of the RP zoning district is the need for a site plan to be approved by the commission and city council, and this gives the opportunity to scrutinize the development and ensure it is well designed, compatible, and in congruence with the surrounding area. And since this area is less than 2 acres, they would need an approval of a variance before the Board of Adjustment, which is scheduled. The next scheduled meeting is on November 24th. Site plan shows stormwater detention facility on the southwest part of the lot that fronts up to Martin Road, with the new building being located to the north of that. A 20-foot driveway is shown accessing the units, and it would appear to allow for the orderly flow of ingress and egress traffic. But if vehicles are parked there, it could hinder the flow of traffic, which would be an issue since there's no on-street parking. The building has setbacks of 55.8 feet from the front, 10 feet from the rear, and 11 feet from the west property line. There will be decks on the west side of the building pointing towards the golf course, and the edge of those decks will be 1 foot from the property line. And the RP does allow for reduced setbacks if deemed to be compatible and not impacting the area in a negative way. New buildings will have asphalt shingles. There will be vinyl siding on the north, south, and east sides, and cement board on the west side of the building that points towards the golf course. And the applicant did indicate that the cement board is more durable and less likely to break if hit by a golf ball. The side elevations facing north towards the golf course has one window and no windows on the south elevation facing Martin Road. Staff is recommending that additional windows be added to these walls to break up the appearance. It's not a condition, but we are recommending. The floor plan has floor plan on the upper level of the south end of the building shows a living room and one bedroom that points to the south, and potentially there could be some windows added in those areas, but I know that the developer probably can speak to that about the adding of windows. Right now there is a duplex on the property that was built in 1957 and it has been vacant for a few years now, and redevelopment of the site would appear to have a positive impact on the area. We did receive one letter of opposition that was turned in noting concerns of setting a precedence for similar development in the area, not fitting in with the characteristics of the neighborhood, and increased traffic and traffic safety. Leisure Services has endorsed the project, and a condition of approval is getting an indemnity agreement signed between the commission and the applicant. Staff is recommending that the request to rezone the 0.36 acres from R1 to R3 RP located at 146 Mart Road be approved for the following reasons. Rezoning would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, and the proposed residential zoning district would be consistent with residential development in the area. Request would not appear to negatively impact pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area. The new development would remove a duplex that has not been used for several years, and that would appear to have a positive impact. The area is served by all necessary utilities and is a good infill development project. And with the condition that the final site plan meets all city codes, including but not limited to parking, landscaping, drainage, etc. That's the staff report.
Any initial questions for staff? Okay. Then we'll go to the applicant. Mr. Bullerman, are you here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, I am. Myself, Kyle, will be speaking.
Okay.
Kyle, do you want to address any of if there was anything technically first before I go, or?
Kyle Helen Engineering Surveying. Thanks, Jay. I don't think there's anything that stands out. I think Tim covered it very well in the fact that this is an R3 RP allowing us to make some of those modifications in regards to parking stalls, so we don't necessarily have to have additional parking on the driveway entrance. It also allows us to reduce some of the setbacks. So I think everything is pretty much harmonious with the location. I think it'd be a great view looking onto the green that sits just to the west of these structures, and I think that's one thing that's going to bring a lot of people interest to these units once they're ready. If there's any technical questions that I can answer in regards to the site plan, certainly try and do that. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Jay.
This is Do Not. I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay. So what is the timeline do we think that it's going to take for the project and the development to be developed?
Yeah, the goal is that we will finish the last unit by December next year, 2021. So we're going ahead with demolition here before the snow flies, hopefully, and we won't do any further site development until next spring. But given the fact that there is a driveway already just to the east of the site or part of the site, we've been told that is favorable for a lot of reasons, to not disrupt the neighborhood. They will be making an additional curb cut. We'll be coming and going just from there with limited disruption this fall. And then when we get going in the spring, we're going to plan on keeping it moving.
Thank you.
This is Sylvia Jackson. I guess when I first read this, I was under the impression this was going to be like a mid-rise building. But then obviously it's not. They're, side by side. And I'm kind of struggling with how you're going to fit that on, a third of an acre when the requirements are calling for 2 acres. And so this would be a revision to that. But 5 units on a third of an acre sounds pretty tight.
This is Schrader with staff. Just a note, the zoning ordinance does not require an individual site in an RP district to be a minimum of 2 acres. It just requires a minimum overall RP district of at least 2 acres. So if, there was a 2 acre or a 3 acre or 100 acre RP site that got rezoned as such, that doesn't preclude it from having, third acre or whatever size lots split off on it. It's what's the minimum is for an overall RP development plan. It's just that this is kind of a unique site in that it's an infill site with existing single-family homes or a golf course around it. So there really isn't anything else to go along with it.
Right. Even regardless of what the regulations are, that seems like a significant change to that area, size-wise, living space, than even what's there now. Don't get me wrong, I'm actually 100% behind this. I love the idea of this. And that's why I'm trying to figure out how that's, how those units are going to look built in that small of a space.
Yeah, Sylvia, and I was really surprised when they went and marked off the space in relation to the existing structure that's there, because I thought it was going to stretch from curb to the back property line. And there's actually still quite a bit more space than I thought. So the current layout is a little wonky and deeper and not a very efficient use of the space, even though it's just a two-family unit currently. The way that this is laid out with the setbacks that are required, actually there's, I can't remember, Kyle, what's the offset out to Martin Road still?
We're still just under 56 feet, so there's quite a bit of area between the south edge of the building and the property line to Martin Road, and that is to the property line. You have another 14 and a half feet to actually get to the edge of the pavement. One thing to consider, there are multiple condominium units. You'll find 6 or 8 units that'll sit on a smaller tract than this property. So it's not really uncommon to have multiple units on something that's less than 2 acres.
Okay. Well, I guess walking the site made a difference.
And I'll tell you what, I don't know that everybody here is aware, but I live right next door.
Okay.
It matters to me a lot that...
My husband loves your house, by the way.
Pardon me?
My husband loves your house.
Oh, well, I tell him thank you. But it matters to me that this fit in, which I know is one of the voice concerns. And, change is tough for everybody, especially when you haven't been walking this road for 9 months like we have from kind of start to finish. But, tonight really is just a culmination of several months of planning, including quite a bit of time with leisure services, with the arborists, with the mayor, some members of the council, just to make sure that the viability and the desire for something like this from not only an economic standpoint, but the golf course, the leisure services, it was something that everybody would be in favor of if we were, walk the walk that we needed to check all of the boxes. And so, right up through the beginning of this week, we've been doing that. And so I welcome the question. The pictures are there, but yeah, to your question more directly, Sylvia, it really was surprising to me how little extension of the current actual structure there will be.
Okay. All right. That's helpful.
This is Holdeman. I have a question. Looking at the drawings, it looks like on the driveway side, there's no access door other than the overhead door. Based on my own experience, I thought you had to have a walk-in door too. Is the building department okayed that?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything to the contrary, Craig. That
okay.
Access door maybe at the main level there needs to be more than one, and there will be one on the golf course side.
Right. Okay. I have another question for you. Then, are you going to sell these individually or rent them out?
Yeah, so that's part of the, I think, the overall favorable nature of this to not just the city, but to the neighbors. And these are going to be individually owned places. And so I bought this property 20 years ago so that I could make sure that my neighbors that were right there were folks that would help take care of the place. And to the degree that these will be individually owned, they'll have some pride in ownership. There'll be an association. It's not going to be a transient group of folks. It's going to be some folks that have some real skin in the game to be able to buy one of these. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. Thank you.
I do have one other question, and maybe I just didn't say it clearly. I know the 2-car garage parking for each unit is there, but I didn't see anything about guest parking. And I know that there's no parking on the street.
Right. Actually, the parking on the street is the 100 block. So as you get to the just past, about halfway through the property line, actually, there is street parking available. So when they reference the 100 block, that just makes sure that coming up over that hill, if you're coming from east to west on Martin Road from 4th to Amesboro, that there aren't cars there forcing people to make sure somebody coming over that hill too quick can't or is sure to see them. But as you get down to the bottom of the hill, which I think is halfway or so through the property line, there is street parking. And our hope is that there'll be some availability by having the driveway wide enough that if people needed to park either behind the garage doors or to the east of there, they would be able to.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any other initial questions for Mr. Bullerman or Mr. Hewand?
And non-council members ask questions now?
Yes, one second here. So, Eric, do you want to see if there's anybody in the chambers first who wants to speak on this matter?
There is not.
Okay. All right. And is it, we'll take people on the call now. Mr. Sullivan, do you want to give your address, and then you're free to.
Sure. I'm Michael Sullivan. I live just to the south of Jay's property, and 155 Martin Road is my address. I live here with my wife, Emily. A couple of questions. I was a little confused, didn't quite understand. Does the 2-car garage per property, does that meet the complete requirement for available parking space per code?
This is Schrader with staff. I can cover that. The zoning ordinance requires a minimum of 2 parking spaces per residential unit. The ordinance also has a provision that would typically limit 50% of those spaces to be covered by garage spaces, but the property is being requested to be rezoned to RP, Planned Residence District, which does allow for flexibility of bulk requirements, including setbacks of the buildings, setbacks of the parking, and the parking requirements. So they are asking for the two spaces per unit in the garage space to be approved as the parking for the development, which the RP designation would allow.
Okay. That does pose some concern for me and others in the neighborhood that we've talked to up and down the street here about having adequate parking. You know, a 2-car garage with a family of any size is often half of it is used for storage, not parking. So, you know, our concern is that for sure we need to make sure that no sidewalks are ever required, and if they are, they're put on the golf course side. We understand the challenges with that. They're, you know, for sure flying balls and things like that with putting the sidewalk on the golf course side. However, all the utilities serving the neighborhood are on the south side, with the exception of one power pole line for that unit. So from the utility standpoint, and even the grading standpoint, when you look at the land profile, it's our opinion that the grading is much easier on the golf course side than on the south side. There is also, has the commission or the engineering, have you looked at the demand for sewer system and taken into account the sewer system just to the west of us regularly floods into people's basements and houses with raw sewer into their houses. And will this increase the sewer flow to that junction that's to the west of us?
We haven't looked at any sanitary sewer flowing down, but based on the size of the sanitary sewer line and the manhole there at the southwest corner, which is an 8-inch, that's actually probably oversized for the 5 units that are proposed. A 6-inch probably actually would be adequate for that. So I can only speak for what we're going into further down to the west. If there's a capacity issue with an older line, I don't know if that would be something engineering would want to look at. But based on what we're tapping into for public sanitary sewer, it's quite oversized for what we're doing.
When was or how would we go about getting that evaluated for the downstream? It's not actually where you're tying in that the problem is. It's at the corner of the next street to the west where all those houses start having problems with the sanitary system. And there's clearly there's clearly not sufficient flow in that area. So there's some concern that this would just add to that problem.
Sure, that would be something probably to be addressed by city engineering department. There could be multiple issues, not necessarily a smaller size pipe, but there could be a sludge buildup. There could be structural cracks or something that may be restricting some of that flow. There could be a root system. You know, the neighborhood is a very old neighborhood. You have quite a few mature trees. Unfortunately, with the older clay lines that some of the sanitary sewer systems are, they will get infiltrated by root systems. So that's something that city engineering could actually take a look at and possibly address.
Yeah, well, yeah. Every big storm we get, the city comes out and puts in pumps into the manhole covers, which clearly indicates they know about the problem. And to us, this feels like it's just going to add to the problem. I don't know what if there's requirements for that consideration in this process for this property.
Well, and I guess I'd
Yeah.
maybe consider reaching out to the city engineering department. Those sanitary sewer lines in that area could be on the agenda to be replaced or improved in the next couple of years. So it may be getting addressed even without this project moving forward.
Okay.
Eric or Tim, do you have any feedback from engineering or from the tech review?
No, I have not heard anything on that subject, but I can talk to the city engineer or somebody in the engineering department and find out if any improvements are planned or have been made. I know the city's gone around in different zones and done some slip lining, and I don't know if this area was in one of those zones or not. I don't know if you would know by chance at all or not.
This is Noel. This is Anderson with staff. Yeah, we did talk to the Public Works Department about this, and they were checking into the flow lines and all that of where this sewer goes to. We expect to get an answer back from them shortly. And initially, they did not indicate any great concerns with the 3 units being added into the overall amounts going into the sewer line, but they are looking into more details on that.
Kyle, are we assuming that the line size remains the same? So the 8 inch is there now and the 8 inch would remain?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because there were some discussions around that, and it was beyond adequate what was already there, so we're not changing that.
This is Schrader with staff. The other thing that could be noted there is that it would be a total addition of 3 units. There's 2 units there. I recognize they're currently vacant, but they could be occupied at any time. There's 2 units there, proposed 5, so it would be an addition of 3 residential units. So I'm not an expert on sewer flow, but I don't think there's a real significant amount of sewer flow that would typically be generated from 3 residential units.
Okay. Well, thank you for that discussion. I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Is there anyone else on the call who is joining us to speak on this? Okay. Mr. Bowen, have you heard from any of the other neighbors then? I know we got the letter from, I think, Mary Wickstrom, or have you had a chance to talk to any of them?
I have, and I wanted to make sure that, the first indication of this going on wasn't them getting a letter from the city. So I talked with Mike and with Paul and Ben and most of the other neighbors as the idea of this was starting. And the first concern that I heard was the Wickstrom letter. I'm glad Mike's here with the questions.
But to be fair, Jay, the way it was presented early on was a 2-family dwelling, not a 5-family dwelling. Mm-hmm. That is the impression that both Paul and I do have, and Deb has. So there was at least some miscommunication on the plans.
Okay, well, but maybe we talked about 2, but the existing 2, Mike, but the plans as we had them drawn up were always that size. We just didn't have the drawings done yet. And so if that wasn't as clear as it should be, my apologies.
Yeah, this is Dunot. My impression was the original property was a duplex, so that's a 2-family situation, and then the proposed development was a 5-unit condominium or condo.
Yeah, and that's correct.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Bullerman? Okay,
What-
go ahead.
Right. What are the conditions that would force putting in a sidewalk?
This is Schrader with staff. As part of any rezone request, we review sidewalks and can, as part of the approval of a rezone, add a condition to require sidewalks. That is not being proposed as part of this development. The city actually has a complete streets advisory committee that takes a close look at all requests for redevelopment, street reconstruction, subdivision, and provides their input on whether or not they think it should be a priority to require sidewalk or not. And they noted that it should not be required as part of this request. It was discussed that if in the future it is ever decided that there should be sidewalk along Martin Road, that because of grade issues and proximity to the playing field of the golf course, that sidewalk should go on the south side of Martin Road, not the north side of Martin Road. But that was just an assessment, and at this point, there are no plans for any sort of sidewalk project on Martin Road.
Sure. Yeah, I got that. Thank you. When we need to park across the street in that parking zone that's about 100 or 200 feet long of parking allowed on the north side there. Most people, well, pretty much everybody parks their vehicle on the grass, as far on the grass as you can get, because cars coming over the hill are usually traveling quite a bit faster than the speed limit. And so, whatever impact that has on this decision, having insufficient, not having any extra parking on the property will likely pose a long-term detriment to the area or to the neighborhood as people continue to need to park full-time onto the golf course property.
Great. If there aren't any other questions right now, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
This is Lystico, so moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Holdeman, second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The public hearing is closed. Are there any additional questions for staff or any other additional? Any additional questions for staff?
This is Lystico. I'd just like to point out that this plan has also been worked out with the Leisure Services Commission here. So I didn't see any other discussion currently in this item, but I'm reading the notes on it. So I appreciate the work that we've done to make sure that this isn't impacting any city resources.
All right. Is there a commissioner that wants to make a motion?
Motion by Schoberg.
You want to read what your motion is, or say what your motion is?
To approve the development at 146 Martin Road based on the staff approval with the, I'm trying to scroll up to the notes. The rezoning request would not appear to have negative impact on the surrounding area, and the proposed residential zoning district would be consistent with residential development in the area. The request would also not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian or traffic conditions within the surrounding area. The new development would remove a duplex that is in poor condition and have a positive impact on the area. The area is served by all necessary utilities, and this is a good infill project. I would like to have the following condition: that the final site plan meets all applicable city codes, including but not limited to parking, landscaping, and drainage.
Second, do not.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. And then Tim, am I correct? You said that the variance needs to go on to the Board of Adjustment?
Yeah, the variance has to go to the Board of Adjustment for the rezone, would proceed to City Council. So we're looking
24th.
to get a public hearing in front of the council on the earliest would be December 7th.
Thank you, everyone. Next, we'll go on to plat. We have a request by Kasim Mustadevich, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong on that, for the final plat of Mustaden First Edition to 3-lot residential subdivision, which is a replat of a portion of Kendall First Edition in the R1 1 and 2 family residence district located south of 4245 West 4th Street, pages 29 through 46 of our packet. So first we'll have the staff report, please.
This is Dornoff with staff. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on surrounding neighborhood or land use, as the area consists of low-density residential development with the exception of multifamily residences to the west along Skyline Drive. The property in question is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. It's zoned and such since it was rezoned from A1 agricultural district by ordinance 5455 on June 4th, 2018. Surrounding land uses in their zoning as follows. To the north, 1 and 2 family residence zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and R3 multiple family residence district. To the south, single family residence zone R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. To the east is 1 and 2 family residences zoned R3, 1 and multiple residence district. And to the west is single family residences and multifamily residences, including timberline condos zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and R3 RP plan residence district. The area is a mix of residential uses with some multifamily development, but the area is primarily 1 and 2 family residences. The area has been developed that was built between 1919 and up to 2016. The development of more low-density residential would appear to be compatible with the existing development in the area. The applicant is requesting to replat 1.43 acres of Kendall First Edition to create a 3-lot residential subdivision. Lot 1 is 0.56 acres, Lot 2 is 0.41 acres, and Lot 3 is 0.46 acres. Kendall First Edition was originally a 5-lot residential plat that was recommended for approval by the Planning, Program, and Zoning Commission on July 10th, 2018, and approved by City Council on August 13th, 2018, with resolution number 2018-603. All the easements that were originally included in the Kendall First Edition will be included in this replat. Engineering noticed some spelling errors in the deed of dedication, which would need to be fixed before going to City Council. And an updated deed of dedication has been submitted and approved. Therefore, staff recommends that the request for the final plat of Mustaden First Edition, a replat of a portion of Kendall final plat, a 3-lot residential subdivision located south of 4245 West 4th Avenue, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on surrounding area. The plat would provide new residential development, which would be compatible with the already existing development in the nearby vicinity. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on pedestrian and traffic conditions in the surrounding area. The request is in accordance with the subdivision ordinance, and the request is in conformance with the future land use map and comprehensive plan for the area, which designates this area as low-density residential.
Any initial questions for John?
This is Do Not. My question was, aside from the spelling errors, were there any other changes to the deed of dedication that needed to be made?
No.
Okay, it was just the spelling errors when it said, I think it was engineering, or it was some entity that was saying changes to the deed of dedication needed to be made. They were referring to the spelling errors.
Correct. And as I said, it has been an updated deed of dedication, has been submitted and approved by engineering.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for John? Okay. I believe I see, and correct my pronunciation, Mustadanovic, is that correct on the phone?
Mustadanovic.
Thank you.
Fine.
Do you want
my
to
father-in-law
address?
is in the, down there at the council.
Okay. Eric, is there someone there?
Another representative of the applicant is here. I'll see if he wants to speak.
Yeah, she can speak for me.
Oh, she's going to allow her to speak on his behalf.
Okay. Oh, did we lose our connection? Hold on. I think the connection might have gotten lost temporarily, Eric.
Okay. She's not moving though.
Yeah, looks like it's
Froze up.
Yeah.
Just a minute. I think she might be trying to get back on. We'll give her a second.
Technology.
Yeah.
We see, you're muted though.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, my computer just.
Okay. That's okay.
I don't know. Did he say he wants to speak or?
He said he would prefer to have you speak.
Okay. What would you like to know? This is my first time attending, doing this. Okay. So his idea is he wants to be building up there with his friends. Basically 2 duplexes. Well, it's going to be 6 units then. Each lot is going to have a duplex on it. They are right now constructing that sewer line up there, getting that done. And then as well as all that is approved and been done with the city. So they're doing that right now. I don't know what else. We left everything the same as it was previously done by Kendall. The only thing that we're asking is just to do the different lot lines and everything else.
Are there any questions from commissioners? Eric, is there anyone else there who wants to speak on this item?
There is not.
Is there anyone else on the phone that is present to speak on this item? Okay. Great. Any other questions or discussion from commission? If not, do we have a motion?
Get back to it. This is Lystico. A motion that we approve the request by Kasim Mustadanovic for the final plat of the Mustadam First Edition of replat of a portion of Kendall final plat, a 3-lot residential subdivision located south of 4245 West 4th Avenue, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The plat would provide for new residential development, which would be compatible with already existing development in the nearby vicinity. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the pedestrian and traffic conditions within the surrounding area. The request is in accordance with the subdivision ordinance, and the request is in conformance with the future land use map and comprehensive plan for this area, which designates this area as low density residential.
Second by do not.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. All right. Next, we will go to a request by the City of Waterloo to vacate an unused Park Avenue right-of-way located north of 505 South Street. We have the staff report first.
Yes, this is Heiberger with the staff report. The applicant is requesting to vacate a platted 3.5 by 300 square, 1,050 square foot portion of public right-of-way of Park Avenue. The request will not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use. The Grout Museum is located adjacent to the vacate area. The area of the proposed site is zoned C2 Commercial District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. Surrounding land uses designations as follows. To north is Highway 218, Commercial Development Zone C3. To the south, Residential Development Zone R4. Multiple Residence District. To the east is Commercial Development Zone C2 Commercial District. And to the west is Washington Park Commercial Development Zone C2 Commercial District. The Grout Museum on the site was built in 1954 with additions in 1991 and 2007. No portion of the vacate area will be within a special flood hazard area as indicated by FEMA. There are no known utilities located in the city right-of-way to be vacated, and no utilities will be impacted by this project. The applicants are requesting to vacate a platted 3.5 by 300, 1,150 section of city-owned right-of-way along Park Avenue between Washington Street and South Street, located north of 505 South Street. The 3.5 by 300 section of city right-of-way was vacated on December 4th of 2006 as part of Ordinance 4850. There was an error in the legal description, therefore Ordinance 4850 will need to be rescinded and replaced by the 3.5 by 300 section of city right-of-way that is being vacated as part of this request. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by the City of Waterloo to vacate a platted 3.5 by 300, 1,050 square feet section of city right-of-way along Park Avenue between Washington Street and South Street, located north of 505 South Street, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. Request would not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian and traffic conditions in the surrounding area. And the vacate will fix an incorrect legal description. And that's the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? All right. Eric, is there anyone there to speak on this?
There is not.
Is there anyone else left in the chambers? At all?
There's one more individual. I believe he might be for the final agenda item.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on the call that wants to speak on this agenda item? Okay, any other additional questions or discussion from commission? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion by Schoberg to approve the request of City of Waterloo to vacate a platted 3.5 foot by 300 foot section of the city right-of-way along Park Avenue in between Washington Street and South Street, located north of 505 South Street, be approved as the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian and traffic conditions within the surrounding area. And this request would fix an incorrect legal description.
Second.
Second by do not.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right. Next, we have a request by the City of Waterloo to vacate 34,415 square feet right away in front of the former Kmart shopping center located at 3810 University Avenue, commonly referred to as University Avenue Frontage Road. Staff report, please.
This starting off with staff, the applicant's requesting to vacate a portion of University Avenue frontage road just northeast of the Progress Avenue intersection with University Avenue. The request to vacate would not have a negative impact on vehicular traffic in the area, as the frontage road was simply serving one site, not multiple businesses like other portions of frontage roads along the corridor. Additional traffic movements have been constructed, including right in, right out from the site. New pedestrian accommodations are being constructed along the entire University Avenue project, including sidewalks, portion of the southern edge of the vacate request within the remaining University Avenue right-of-way. The site is zoned C2 Commercial District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. To the north is the former Kmart building, zoned C2 Commercial District. To the south is University Avenue, Commercial Building, Progress Plaza, Strip Mall, and all zoned C2 Commercial District. To the east is the Hy-Vee gas station and Caribou Coffee, Zone C2 Commercial District, and to the west is the former Hy-Vee grocery store, Walgreens, all Zone C2 Commercial District. Located abutting the University Avenue corridor, which was recently transferred from the state of Iowa to the city of Waterloo for jurisdictional maintenance and ownership purposes. This portion of the frontage road was not part of the transferred jurisdiction, but abuts the corridor. The University Avenue corridor is a commercial corridor in this portion, but has seen some vacancies along the corridor in recent years. City staff is working to create a better traffic flow, more pedestrian accommodations and options along the corridor, as well as improvements to the business expansion and redevelopment in the area. The request to vacate University Avenue frontage road, the area would appear to help redevelopment of the site, eliminate unneeded access right-of-way for the city of Waterloo, and return it to the tax rolls, and help create outlaws for development closer to the roadway. The redevelopment of the Kmart site will be a big project for the future of this corridor, and most likely involve the reuse or demolition of the former Kmart building, outlaw development in front of the former building. The former Hy-Vee site sits to the west of the area, has no frontage road, and could have a similar reuse demolition feature with outlet development. The addition of the right-of-way at this location, the 5-lane concept west of Progress, and other improvements to the traffic layouts, turning movements, and aesthetics designs being constructed for improvements of the general area. Therefore, staff recommends the request to vacate 34,415 square feet, 0.8 acres of University Avenue frontage road be approved for the following reasons. The request to vacate would appear to have positive impacts on and options for redevelopment of the former Kmart site. The requested area is owned on both sides by the same ownership and thus does not appear to be needed for public right-of-way, pedestrian, vehicular, or any other traffic purposes. The request to vacate would help redevelopment of the abutting sites, creating additional land for potential outlaw development, closer setbacks for building locations, or additional area for parking, subject to the following conditions: that any easements needed for utility purposes be retained over, under, and upon the area to be vacated. Such easements will be included on a plat of survey for the vacate request.
Are there questions for John? Anyone on the call here to speak on this agenda item? And just to make sure, Eric, anyone there that wants to speak on this agenda item?
Nope.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. We have a motion.
Motion by Schoberg to approve the request by the City of Waterloo to vacate 34,415 square feet of University Avenue frontage road due to the request to vacate would not appear to have a positive impact and options for redevelopment of the former Kmart site. The requested area is owned on both sides by the same ownership and thus does not appear to be needed for public right-of-way, pedestrian, vehicular, or any other traffic purposes. The request to vacate would help for the redevelopment of abutting sites by creating additional land for potential outlet development, closer setbacks for building locations, or additional area for parking. subject to the following condition, that any easement needed for public purposes by retained under and upon area to be vacated, said easements will be included on the plat or survey for the vacate request.
This is
Alderman, I second it.
Cody, were you, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next, we will have a request by James Hurst for an encroachment agreement for construction of a powered automotive gate that will encroach 1 foot into the right-of-way of Fletcher Avenue located at 2425 West 4th Street in the R1 and 2 family residence district. We have the staff report first, please.
This is Heiberger with the staff report. The applicant's requesting approval of an encroachment agreement to allow for an electric chain link fence gate to be constructed approximately 1 foot into Fletcher Avenue City right-of-way. The request could have a negative impact on the surrounding areas. Approval of an encroachment agreement could set precedent other properties in the area to request to have similar encroachments on the city right-of-way. However, the encroachment is very minor at 1 foot and only overhangs the right-of-way with no portion of the encroachment being attached or connected to the ground within the right-of-way. The request will not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area. There are sidewalks along West 4th Street and Fletcher Avenue, and the encroachment will not impede any sidewalks. The lot in question is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and has been zoned as such since 1969. To the north, south, east, and west is R1, residential development, R1, 1 and 2 family district. No portion of the lot in question is located within a special flood hazard area, according to FEMA. The nearest utilities are a 10-inch sewer line and 4-inch drain tile underneath 4th Street. There are no utilities located within the encroachment area, and no utilities will be impacted by this project. In the past, encroachment agreements has entered into include provisions that allow the city to give notice, termination of the agreement if the right-of-way or utility easement is needed for any future public purposes, and requiring that the city have no liability for any damage that may occur. The applicant is requesting an encroachment agreement just to allow an electric chain link fence to be constructed 1 foot on the city-owned right-of-way. The electric chain link fence gate will not extend past the sidewalk. The majority of the gate will remain on the applicant's property, but the rollers that will allow the gate to open and close would overhang the street right-of-way, but by a minimal 1 foot. There's no platting a part of this request, therefore staff recommends that the encroachment agreement request by James Hurst to allow for an electric chain link fence gate be constructed 1 foot in the city-owned right-of-way at 2425 West 4th Street be approved for the following reasons. The electric chain link gate will not extend past the sidewalk or southern property line. There were no complaints from neighboring property owners concerning this project. And that's a staff report.
Eric, is Mr. Hurst there in the chambers?
Yes, he is. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? He doesn't have anything he needs to add, so he's available if there's any questions.
I was just told to be here in case there was questions.
Okay.
This is do not, and this is just a slight question. What's the deal with it being an electric fence?
This is Schrader with staff. I actually was thinking about that probably isn't the best word that to use. That might lead some to believe it's being electrified. That's not the case. It is a powered, so electricity will come to the gate to power a motor that will run the gate, open and shut the gate by motor rather than having to, some sort of manual open to the gate. So that's what the electric meant. It's a motorized powered gate.
I understand, because I was thinking about, like on farms, when they have electric fences to keep horses inside the paddock or something like that.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of, and I'm like,
yes, and that type of fence is specifically not allowed in the city limits. But yeah, that's not what this is. It's just a powered motorized gate.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions?
This is Schoberg, is there any concerns with how that fence and those rollers being so close to a sidewalk? If the button is pushed or tripped from a sensor inside when that thing opens, that, if a kid or someone has a hand or a foot or something in between like a fence and a roller, that something's going to get pinched, or is there safety measures to avoid that?
This is Schrader with staff, and yeah, I'll defer to the applicant to address that one. Although it definitely will not encroach over the sidewalk. It'll probably be within a few inches of the sidewalk. It'll be there's a picture on the screen that shows it pretty well. It'll be relatively slow moving, so I think that's a fairly low concern, but yeah, go ahead. The applicant come up. Yeah, please come to the microphone and state your name.
Yeah, James Hurst. The rollers will be inside the chain link portion of the fence, so you're going to have to actually try and stick your fingers through the chain link fence to get to the rollers. There's no way to get your hands or anything stuck in there, get your arm or anything stuck in there. All the rollers and the posts and the motor and everything is all inside the chain link fence on private property.
Okay.
Hopefully that.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the phone who is here to speak on this agenda item? Okay. Are there any other questions from the commission?
What is this about?
Okay, I think we're good. Does someone want to make a motion?
Motion by Schoberg to recommend the request by James Hurst to allow an electric chain link fence be constructed 1 foot into city-owned right-of-way at 2425 West 4th Street be approved due to the electric chain link fence gate will not extend past the sidewalk or southern property line, and there were no complaints from neighboring property owners concerning the project.
Second by Dudot.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay. Let's check in here.
Thank you. Wherever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The only other discussion item I have is that our next meeting will be on December 1st. Does anybody else have any agenda or any discussion items? Okay.
Move we adjourn.
I will second that, Cody.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.